Alright, we're recording. What's up,
Awesome.
guys? Five Wolf here, and today we have a very special guest joining us with this interview. Please welcome Doon the Fox.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. And thank you for having me, Mr. Wall.
Thank you. My pleasure. Anyway, today there's gonna be a total of 8 questions today. It's gonna be a pretty good, decent interview this time. So let's get right into it. Would you like to say anything before we start?
I am just super happy to be here, hanging out, and I hope everyone is ready for the warmer weather just like me.
Alright, first things first. Why don't you introduce yourself first?
Sure. So I am Doon the Fox. I have been active in the furry community since approximately 2014. I've been doing YouTube for about that long as well. And besides video editing, I love EDM. I like hanging out with friends, and I like being goofy on the internet.
Yeah, I've seen the videos. You're very goofy.
Thank you.
Alright, so pause play. What was the
Yeah,
idea and how did you come up with that idea?
that is a great question. So, I had been doing YouTube pretty much by myself for, let's see, we've been running 3 years now. So, probably about the first 9 or 10 years of my channel, I really did videos on my own. I did some collabs here and there, but a lot of it was just me. Um, so between that and the whole little chapter of COVID-19 that we had, I started experiencing a lot of burnout. It just became really hard to do a video every week by myself and come up with new ideas and then do all the editing and the social media posting and all that fun stuff. So it just became a lot of work. It did not start to feel like an enjoyable hobby for a while. So I ended up taking breaks. During that time, I was watching a lot more YouTube myself, and I got inspired by a couple of channels that I'm sure some of you are familiar with. Smosh being a huge one, and also Dropout, which was formerly known as College Humor. So the more or less premise of those channels, just to kind of keep it to the relevant points, are you've got a group of people who all get along great, they hang out, they act silly, and then you have cameras and editors capturing all of their shenanigans. So I got inspired by that. I started thinking, well, there's not really a furry version of this that I'm aware of, so maybe we can do that. Maybe we can create the furry improv troupe and I can gather some friends, rope them into some silly shenanigans, and see what happens. And that's really how Pause Play got started. The first instance of this was a little group known as the Quad Suits before. So I hung out with a few people routinely, Wolf Masters, Dameron the Arctic Wolf, and Speedy Husky. And so the four of us would make videos for a little while. That all happened right when COVID was starting. So we had to take a break from that for a little while, kind of killed our momentum. And then, in order to have a more flexible format with more people, we essentially rebranded over to Pause Play. And that kind of brings us to what we're doing today. So we've just wrapped up 3 seasons, and we also have a podcast going called the Pausecast.
Yeah, that I have to say, what was your most favorite experience while doing pause play? Because I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure, like especially Smosh, because I watch Smosh as well. There's always a
Yeah,
good moment and a funny moment. What was the best moment? Did that
yeah.
inspire you to do more, or like, basically like, how did you feel when the first episode aired?
Yeah, so getting ready to do season 1 um was very nerve-wracking. because we were filming. I should say I was kind of approaching this in a way that I had not approached any of my previous projects. So we were setting out to really create a show with episodes and seasons, and that meant we had to get promotional photos and promotional videos, teaser videos, trailers, and things like that. I had to I had to recruit people. You know, I had to find out if anybody wanted to be on camera, if anybody would be willing to help kind of handle cameras and lighting, general production needs like setting up and tearing down sets, writing scripts or other show notes, or preparing other materials. You know, so in season one of the episodes that we did was we did this trivia game show, and the punishment for answering questions incorrectly was eating Oreos that may or may not have been spiked with wasabi. um, so we had to do things like that. You know, sometimes we had to prepare food and drinks ahead of time. So I had to have help with that. And so there's a lot of work that goes into pre-production and then ultimately production when you're shooting these episodes. Probably my favorite episode to date is the episode in season 3, which was also our Halloween special. It was filmed in VR chat. It is a scripted video, and it is called "You Are What You Eat." The reason I love it so much is because I got to write that script and I had a lot of fun writing it, and seeing it come to life was pretty rewarding. In addition to that, we were able to film in VR chat, which means we did not have to assemble in person and build a set and set up cameras and that sort of thing. We could just hop on VR chat remotely, and so there's no travel time or anything like that either. But you know, whether it's a season 3 episode or getting started with season 1, the feeling has pretty much been always the same while working on pause play, which is you feel a little nervous beforehand when you're preparing all of these things, and then it goes out into the universe, aka YouTube, and it's rewarding. You know, people seem to really enjoy the show, and we get a lot of good comments and ideas from the audience, and we even have some supporters on Patreon now. So it's seeing people appreciate the fruits of our labor has always been an amazing experience that I have always been grateful for.
Yeah, I have to say I think my favorite one in the second season would have to be the improv one in that improv world.
Yes, audience anarchy.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones because there was a lot of funny and goofiness behind it that I really liked the most. Like with jokes on the side and pretty much relatable stuff.
Yeah, audience anarchy is, we filmed it a few times now, and it's it just continues to get wackier and wackier.
Actually, I think I was on that episode, but I think I was at towards the end because I was mainly in the audience section. I think,
Yes, yeah, you were there. It was
which
awesome to have you.
which thank I, I I just want to say too, thank you for having me on there because I like to help out with people, and I'm glad to help you out with that as well. You know,
Yeah, I really appreciate you being there. I have had so much fun filming with friends and filming with people who enjoy what we do. Um, so the more the merrier, it's all fun.
yeah, especially the joke I came up with, but it didn't really work. Anyway, so what started your YouTube career?
Good question. So back in 2013, we'll say, um, at that point I was, gosh, a couple years out of high school. Um, and I was just starting to get into my first jobs as an adult working person, And when I wasn't working, I was partying with my friends. Um, to make a long story short, I more or less did too much partying, and it sent me into kind of a dark space mentally because um, I started to understand how hard I was going to need to work in order to succeed as a brand new adult person in the world. Um, and it caused some depression because I knew what I had to do, but I was wasting time partying, and it was just, the things people do when they're teenagers and young adults. It's all very normal. But I just was reflecting really hard on things, and it kind of sent me into a depression. So ultimately, shortly after that started, I got a new job, and I was getting into um, a better headspace with things. And I happened to be just out shopping one day, and I ran into a couple of furries in the wild. So, for context, I discovered the furry fandom in probably 2003 or 4. So, I was very young at that point. Um, at the time, I couldn't really pursue it because I was attending like a religious school and I was in a pretty strict household at the time. So, I just didn't have a chance to explore that stuff. But at this point in the timeline of the story, so 2014 at that point, um, I'm an adult now and I can explore that. So running into these furries in the wild was crazy because I had pretty much forgotten about furry, and then I was like, oh my god, wait, I can like totally explore furry now. Amazing. Um, so I started talking to furries and meeting more people and realizing that yes, I have a whole family out here. This is amazing. People are awesome. In addition to that, though, while I was experiencing this bout of depression I've been talking about, I started watching a lot of YouTube um, videos that were posted by very popular creators at the time. So the three that come to mind are PewDiePie, Markiplier, and most of all, Jenna Marbles, who is no longer active on YouTube. But those three, to make the point succinct, really taught me that even if we're struggling in life, or even if there are things we're dealing with, or even if the world seems bleak, we can create hilarious things on the internet. We can create positive things on the internet, things that really inspire people to do better and be kinder to yourself and make healthier choices and also reach for those ideas of success that everybody has. Um, so those three in particular were very inspiring to me. And one way that I wanted to give back is by making my own videos. Although I discovered a love for the hobby, and I haven't quit ever since.
Yeah, because put it this way, when you like grow up during your teenage years, it does get a little bit nerve wracking because you're trying to understand the world better and like to express what it would be like after when you leave school, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Because after when you leave school, it will get a little bit stressful because you don't know what job you want to get or what you want to do in life.
Yeah, and I think that's really tough. Not to spin off into that topic specifically, because we could spend a whole hour just talking about, you know, people stepping into the adult world for the first time. But like, I was experiencing a ton of burnout in school even. So by the time I got into my senior year, my very last year of high school, I was taking 3 advanced classes the whole year out of 5 classes total. And then I was doing extracurricular. I was doing band. I was considering applying to colleges at that point. So, or, universities at that point. Um, and that's all very busy. That's 60 hours a week or better. So by the time I finished out that year of school, I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, well, I don't want all this knowledge and studying to go to waste, but I'm tired. I just want to go make money for a little while.
Yeah, let me just go make money on YouTube, Ah,
Yeah,
lovely
fingers
place.
crossed.
Um, okay. How did you join the furry community, and what is the story behind of it that led you to be in here?
Yeah. So, I know I touched on a couple of bits of that already, but I did when I said earlier that I discovered furry in 2003 or 4, um, that really was by virtue of the fact that I kind of got my own computer at that age for the first time. And so I was looking, I was really heavy on um, DeviantArt for a while, and of course, on DeviantArt there are, furry artists that post on there periodically. So it was kind of through that I discovered furry. Um, but it wasn't until about 10 years later that I really had an opportunity to go explore the furry community by actually meeting and talking to people locally who were into the furry scene. I don't know. I've always connected with like nature and cartoons and animal characters. Um, Probably where that started for me was the first video game series I ever played, which was Sonic the Hedgehog. Tails quickly became a favorite, as you might be able to imagine.
Yes.
So ever since then, I just connected with foxes. But in my adult years, talking to people who kind of like understood the affinity that you can have for cartoons and furry art and things like that. Um, and also just being around people who share that passion, but then come from all walks of life is super fascinating too. And it's through this community that I've made some amazing friends. I've had a lot of really interesting conversations and opportunities, and I just think there's something for everybody here. So that's why I stick around.
Yeah, because everyone has a story base that before you join the furry community, you're still looking around to see what you do. But I'm gonna explain this again. The first time when I joined the fandom, I just saw how cool it looked, and you have a lot of people that are really nice to you, and they don't be jerks to you.
Yes.
And that's what really achieved me to join. Because when you go to cons, you see how much fun they are than the Comic Con ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on from this subject. Um, if you can go back in time, what would you say to your past self?
Honestly, I'd probably just say, you know, keep on trucking. It sounds very simple, but like, I one thing that I've tried to always hang on to, even now at this point in my life, is it's so rewarding if you find something that you like and you stick with it and you keep at and it's not just learning the craft and getting better at the hobby or the art or whatever and finding your voice and your style. Those things are very important and they are also rewarding, but it's also the idea that you're doing something you love and you're doing it for you and you're not necessarily doing it for anybody else. Sometimes we do it for other people, but at the end of the day it's really for us, you know what I mean? To do the things that we love. So if I could give my past self any piece of advice, it's do what you love, stick with it, and in some way, some shape, and some form, it'll all just work out, you know?
Yeah, you'll get to that point, you know? It's life.
Yeah.
And real quick, as you were saying about trucking, all I can think of is that one South Park episode.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
Okay. What is your most favorite moment at a con, and what was the most funniest moment you have ever laughed at that you couldn't stop laughing almost an hour? What was the funniest moment?
All right. So I have to think very carefully here. Um, One of my favorite moments that comes to mind is this would have been MCFC, which is Motor City Furry Con 2024. That was the first year that I participated in a dance competition with somebody else. So up to that point, I had always danced solo in competitions. And my friend Terry Mays, my very good friend Terry Mays, joined me. So we danced as a duo under the name Fabatry. That was our first time doing that, and we won first place, which was a very, very fun and great feeling. Um, all the dances we've done ever since then have just been amazing and wonderful. I really enjoy dancing with them. Sorry about that. I don't know if the mic picked that up.
It did.
Did you hear? Okay, I'll take it one more time. Hold on.
It's okay.
Okay. Um,
My dog does it all the
yeah,
time.
dogs have great timing, you know. Okay, let me try again.
He might know your secret.
He might. So one of my favorite moments ever at a convention, at least one that comes to mind, is MCFC, which is Motor City FurryCon 2024. Up to that point, I had always danced by myself at dance competitions. So this was the first convention where I actually danced with somebody else. My very, very good friend Terry Mays, who is awesome. That is my dance buddy. And we ended up taking first place dancing together for the first time, which was incredible. Every dance we've done ever since then has been super, super fun. We dance under the name Fabatry, which makes us laugh every single time. Um, and it's just been really enjoyable to share another hobby that I enjoy with a friend, which seems to be the running theme right now in my life. A super funny moment at a convention. That one I have to think about. Gosh, I don't even know. There's been so many funny moments. Usually they involve, um, maybe I've had a hard cider or two or something, and I'm giggling with friends because, of course, we're feeling the drinks a little bit or something. That's probably one thing that comes to mind. One funny moment that does come to mind, though, is at Anthrocon last year. I danced with Terry at their dance competition, and in the intro of our song, the audio ended up cutting out twice, and then it skipped forward. So it was very difficult to dance our routine because the music stopped. So of course we stopped dancing and then it skipped ahead. So we had to like mentally calculate where we are supposed to be in the choreo with the music that's playing. And to be honest, like, the audience and all the judges were very understanding, but it was just one of those things where it was like, okay, well, we spent probably 8 weeks preparing for this dance and the whole experience is over in like 3 to 5 minutes. And of course, after all that work, what happens? There's an audio issue. And it's just one of those things you have to laugh about it.
Actually, going back with the pause play thing, I have to say, the most funniest episode that you did is that card game.
Yeah, we've done a few card
You did,
games. Is it
you did,
Uno?
you did part one and part two of this one card game. I think it was basically you had to God, I forgot the name of it.
Oh, it was fun employed, right?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
that was
Yeah,
the
that
most funniest.
that honestly is one of my favorite card games of all time. It's one of those things that I call like guided improv because you have cards and there's like a structure, but like Audience Anarchy, you get a structure, but then you have to fill in all the blanks. So
Yeah,
it's just that game is so much fun to work on. It's hilarious.
yeah, but um, also, did you like the idea I gave you? By the way,
Um, I apologize. Don't get mad at me.
it's okay.
I've been looking at so many notes and ideas lately. What was the idea? One more time.
With that improv world, right? Um, you know how you did try not to laugh? There's
Yes,
another thing you could do is do try not to laugh improv, where you guys go into teams. If the other team laughs, they get no points, and then if the other people don't laugh, they get a point.
I love that idea. And I think it would be really fun.
Yeah, and you had to come up with really funny ideas, and you had to come up with accents and stuff like that.
Yeah. Honestly, we love to make each other laugh, so, it would be a blast.
Yeah, and the second idea is you should do the whisper challenge.
Yes, that would be insanely fun to do.
hmm Because honestly, you just hear the most funniest crap that comes out of people's mouths.
Yeah, we all disappear into the headspace of improv and, you just black out for 30 to 60 minutes and then cameras cut and you're like, okay, I don't remember anything from 45 minutes ago.
I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
What advice would you give to people that's joined the furry community and that's done to do content creating?
Yeah. So if you're new to furry or if you are curious about the furry community, the best piece of advice that I have for you is just to jump in, honestly. There are social media presences, there are Facebook groups, Telegram groups, Furfinity, of course, is a very dedicated website. Bark is used for dating and beyond, but it can be used for socializing too. But there are lots of ways to connect with local furries and tap into your local community. Um, there are usually events that happen too, conventions, fur meets, bowling meets, whatever those might be, which is a really neat way to meet a lot of people all at once. But the sooner you start talking to people and finding the circles that work for you, the more you can experience the animal people world that I've come to love and appreciate. If you are new or curious about content creating, um, I have a different piece of advice. That one is start by watching as much YouTube as you possibly can. And of course, watch it to enjoy it, but there are things you're also looking for. Look for how people talk on camera, look for the kinds of things that people are doing on camera. How are they positioning their cameras? How are they positioning lighting and microphones? Did you notice any jump cuts or special effects or other types of editing like text, pictures, GIFs, cutaways to other videos? There's animations, things like that, right? So the more YouTube you watch, the more you'll start to understand how people edit, how they create the vibe that they're going for. Um, and then once you have those notes and those ideas, then start filming your own videos and try to reproduce those. And in the process of doing that, eventually you will find your own style, your own voice, your own things that you enjoy. And after that, it's just a matter of staying true to yourself, doing what makes you happy, and having fun with it.
Hmm. Um, so like, where can people find you?
Yeah. So I'm pretty much everywhere because I love the internet. I am predominantly on YouTube as Doon the Fox, and I'm also very active on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. It's either at Doon the Fox, all one word, or each of the words is separated by underscores. So look for hilarious Foxy shenanigans, silly videos, and lots of giggles.
Okay, the last question. Who's your most favorite Smash character?
Oh God, I have so many favorite Smosh characters.
My one is Shane.
Um, yeah, Shane is great. If you're just talking about cast members,
Yeah.
I think probably Angela is my favorite.
Yes.
She is wild and so intelligent and studied. Like she loves Shakespeare and she's insanely good at improv. She's on a few different shows besides Smosh, and
Yeah.
I just love her work.
I just like her work where she when they were playing that board game she goes, "Shut up, you look a little creep."
Yes. Oh my God, when she was Dart Simpson. She's crazy talented. I think she's underrated.
Yeah, she is. I like because most of them came from comedy like skits and other things that they
Yeah,
worked on.
yeah, they're all from the LA improv scene in one way or another, and then they
Yeah,
find their way to Smosh.
and there was a couple parts that I did like too because I don't know if you remember it. There's this other card game they were playing, and Shane said something to Damien or something. Because I remembered Courtney was saying Shane, Damien's best, and he went next to me, Shane.
Oh yeah, that's really funny.
Anyway, I think this is the end of this interview. Don't you think?
I think we talked about so many things,
Yeah.
and I am super grateful for you asking many amazing questions. So thank you so much.
So before I do end this video, if you guys want to go follow DoonTheFox and you haven't already subscribed to him, please go do that. I'll put a link in the description to so you go support him. And who knows, very soon me and him might actually end up doing stuff together, which I can't wait.
The future is very exciting indeed.
Hmm. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this interview, and I'll see you guys later.